Welcome back to the show, folks. As I quit my band. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Good, man.
I'm good as well. Things are looking up here in the IQMB universe. Thank you so much. Finally. After a grueling month of reviewing classic records and not really having anything to add. Just like, hey, Paranoid's good, right?
I was surprised at the amount of people who weren't there to want to hear our perspective on a 50-year-old album.
Who everyone's in agreement is a good album.
And we're like, I guess we give it a 10.
I mean, do I give it a 10? Is it that good? Yes.
It was fun, though.
We didn't really. It was fun, but yeah, we finally crossed the finish line of Classics Month, and we're here, and, you know, a little Jordy Greep, Sean Stevens impression to, you know, make the world go round really helped us out. Thanks to everyone that subbed to the channel in the past week. So awesome. Thanks for being here. And thank you everyone that followed us on Instagram. We got a whole bunch there, and TikTok as well. It feels good. It feels good to be back on top where we belong, you know?
Our definition of on top is a very loose version of on
We
top.
have a low standard, but we're getting there, you know, and it feels fucking good. It's the best music show on the internet. I haven't said that in a while. Best
It
music
is,
show
though,
on the internet.
objectively.
I used to say that.
Yeah.
I used to say that before every show.
Yeah, and I think that's why we were dipping, because you knew it wasn't true, but now it's true again.
True
We
in
need
my
to
heart.
boast a little bit more.
Yeah, we need to start boasting a little bit more. It's the best music show on the internet. It's I Quit My Band. My name's Nate.
I'm JJ.
I'm Evan.
I don't think I said that yet. Thanks everyone for being here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and subscribe to our Patreon where we got bonus content. We haven't had an episode in a while, but you can go find our interview with tribute AC/DC singer Bobcat Ron and our best late night TV music performances, part 1. More to come on those.
You showed me one over the weekend that needs to be on there.
Yeah, we got to do
did you?
round 2 because there's one that's so amazing.
Yeah,
I forgot
it's,
about.
it's crazy.
All right, don't say it now.
We won't.
Don't say it.
It'll
now.
be back, though.
Yeah. But we're going to be reviewing an album tonight by a band called Squid. Their new album called Cowards is coming out this week, February 7th. Squid is a band, I've been looking forward to this record for a while. Squid is a band that I started listening to in 2021 when their first debut album, actually, no. They had a bunch of EPs and singles before their first debut album. They had like The Cleaner. And there was another one. I can't remember the name of it right now. But their debut album was called Bright Green Field. Came out in 2021. Amazing post-punk record. It came out like in the middle of the post-punk boom of 2021 when there was like new records from Black Midi, Black Country New Road, possibly, I think, Fontaine's DC.
Yeah.
Ice Age, someone else, too. I can't remember. There was someone else that was crazy that was putting out... Maybe I'm just thinking of Black Midi, but Squid was very much a part of that, and they were kind of like the newcomers. And the energy and just performance of all of their songs and just like the upbeatness of all their songs is what really, I think, set them apart from any other post-punk band that was making music at the time. And I love that record. Still one of my... It's probably one of my favorites of that year.
Same. Yeah. When that came out, I was like... I was into a lot of the post-punk stuff that was coming out, but their approach was so cool. They had like this nervy, anxious energy, really cool vocal approach, like somewhere between like David Byrne, that type of vocal approach. But
and then Fred Schneider from the B-52s.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah, and like the album would have these like really long songs, but they build up to these really satisfying, weird freakouts, and stuff like that. And we went to go see them when they were touring that record, and that was like one of the coolest shows I'd seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Is that the one at Cleveland? In Cleveland?
Yeah, it was like in a tiny little bar that holds 100 people.
Yeah,
they barely fit on fucking stage.
It was at Beachland Ballroom,
the tavern,
not in the ballroom, in the tavern. Which I never saw a show in the tavern where they just had like some local opener, like some like DJ guy.
I fucking played in the tavern.
Yeah, and there was like 60, 80 people there. We drove up like super excited. apparently Jeff Tate from Queensryche was headlining in the ballroom that night. I don't know if that was true or not, but I remember seeing that.
Ouch.
Yeah. But yeah, they had so many people on stage, and the cool thing about them was like, you know, their music, the album and all of their songs before that, like, had horns and crazy, synths and all these weird bongo, like, all these weird sounds and instrumentation in them. And you think, like, oh, that's probably just a thing that they do while recording. But, like, during their performance, the bassist would, like, pick up a trumpet. And then, like, their keyboard player would pick up, like, bongos. And, someone would have, like, a fucking pan flute. It was, like, it was crazy. They like do all of it themselves, which is a really weird thing to see, especially on a small stage like that.
Yeah, and it really showed like the level of musicianship that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like they're not the post-punk guys that will play one bass line for 4 minutes and the guitarist will like noodle a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, these guys all have like crazy musical chops.
Yeah. And the way they write songs too, it does feel like a jam in a way, but like a very orchestrated jam where like, they do it for a while and then they all know when to switch, and like it feels like, wow, how did that transition even happen? How do they know when to switch? Because it's just like they're so locked into one groove for a while and then it changes. It was a really impressive show. They put out a record after Bright Green Field in 2023, I believe. Mm-hmm. It was called Oh Monolith, and that's when I started to get a little bit like, I don't like what's going on with Squid, because like there was some cool tracks, like Undergrowth is a really cool song.
Awesome.
But the first song that they put out, Swing in a Dream, was like very different from what I was used to from them.
Yeah. I did not like Oh Monolith nearly as much as I like Bright Green Field.
Neither did I. Yeah.
But I kind of chalked it up at the time to being like, all right, this band feels like a band in transition. Like they kind of decided we're not going to be just another one of those post-punk bands. Like it felt like they could do that with like their eyes closed.
Yeah.
So they started experimenting, and everything on O Monolith is like really like dense and like brooding and moody. Yeah. And you would get these like big cathartic cool moments on stuff like Undergrowth, but a lot of it just kind of like washed over me, where it was like it was cool to hear them trying to find something, but I don't know if they really found it.
Yeah, I felt like that too. Kind of like the same thing like how we talked about with like Idols, whereas like they really weren't doing their fastball. Like there was hints of it here and there, but like the whole record was mostly like this kind of weird swing, and I wouldn't say exactly a miss, but like it did feel so like just a little bit boring and too dreary to really be like it. When you have an album like Bright Green Field that was so full of energy and like loudness and like life and just drive, like every song just has a fucking driving beat and he's doing his like that's so great. And then you go to like another record where there's only like one or two songs that are really like that. JJ?
Yeah, I don't really know anything about this band. Never really listened to them at all, so I don't really have much to contribute to your guys' conversation. I am familiar with the Bright Green Field record because like everyone liked it a lot, but I never listened to it. These guys they remind me a lot for some reason, probably because of the musicianship and use of horns of a Pittsburgh band that I love called String Machine. Maybe if String Machine was less joyous, because String Machine makes a joyful noise, where these guys they're not necessarily dark and emo, but like this record that we listen to is at times very like sparse. Very, very sparse and like upfront and whatever. But I guess the comparison I'm drawing is like the indie rock thing of like there being horns in the thing and then jangly jangles and shit like that. But it's a cool brand of this type of music that I feel like there was more of it going on like 10 years ago. Like the Decemberists come to mind of a band like that. Maybe they're more pop centric than these guys are more post punk, post whatever centric, but just the like production style and the use of strings and instruments and things like that harken back to that kind of shit for me. But yeah, I was curious to check this out because both of you guys very much were into the Bright Green Fields album, and I know about the Beachland Ballroom story. So
we're Squid heads.
We are Squid heads.
We drove up.
We're calamari boys.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we drove up to Cleveland that night. Just two bros.
Two dudes going
Yeah.
to Cleveland. Did you come back after?
We did. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Let's just dive right into the record. I don't
in.
think there's anything more to say about it. It's Cowards by Squid, and it's I Quit My Band. Let's go. This is the first track called Crispy Skin.
This is one of the singles, I think.
Yeah, it was the first single, and we did talk about it on the show before. What'd you think of this?
When I first heard it, I didn't really know what to make of it. I think I liked it better than some of the stuff on Monolith, just because it seemed to have like a clearer vision of what it wants to be. But after listening to the record a few times, I really like it as an opener.
Yeah.
This, like, whatever that is,
Yeah.
I really like over that beat. That reminds me of some of the stuff, because, like, there's a couple things off Bright Green Field that had, like, a krautrock type vibe to it.
Yeah.
And, like, instrumentally it feels like that, but, like, immediately we're in, like, this more, like, dark, dreary sort of vibe.
Bright Green Field was very krautrock inspired, just kind of like throw everything at the wall no matter what it is, over just like a long jam.
Yeah.
This does remind me a little bit of that, but like I think the most obvious thing is the vocals. Like I felt like on Monolith they kind of reserved these vocals for like slower, more dreary songs. Now it feels like where we used to get something like very energetic, where like it doesn't quite get there, like on something like Narrator, you know, like he almost does it, but he's mostly doing this like close up to the mic whisper, almost like talk singing. But I really like the sound of this song. Like I like how maxed out the bass is, and it like you can kind of hear it clipping almost.
It's kind of like that the whole time.
Yeah, it's like that the whole record. But yeah, I thought this was a fun track.
I agree, and I think it's like a good introduction to a lot of the stuff you're going to get on the record.
Yeah.
Because it's very, like, the arrangements are so maximal. Like, everybody is doing something different.
Yeah.
Like, whatever this, like synth thing is going on, and then the guitars are doing something different, and then the bass has its own deal going on, and then there'll be little pieces of production coming in and out. And then about halfway through, it like drops down to almost nothing. And then it picks back up, and then like we get introduced to some of the lyrical themes. Like the whole album
It's about evil.
Yeah, it's about evil.
And this song is based or like inspired by a book called Tender is the Flesh.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a book I read last year, and it's about
The only guy who reads on the show.
Yeah.
I was actually pumped when I was looking at the liner notes. I was like, oh, I've read these books.
I read these books.
I've read this book.
I'm like still trying to read the book I bought 3 years ago.
That's awesome.
Like, I made it past
Green
page
Eggs
3.
and Ham.
What book is it?
It's Green Eggs and Ham.
Oh, okay. It's a classic.
He knew.
I'll give
So
it.
good.
But it's
Twist at the end.
the ham was always green.
Green the whole time.
No, the book is about it's like this virus takes over Earth where you can't eat animals anymore.
Okay.
Like if you eat an animal, you die. So cannibalism becomes like accepted, and this whole like factory farming of people becomes like the norm. And the narrator is this guy who kind of like works within the factory system. Like he goes and tries to find and like broker for heads, they call them, like people that are good to breed to eat.
Okay.
And it's the book's all right, but like the ending is great. And it's like one of those things where you're following this narrator you think is like a moral good guy in a bad society, and then you're like, oh, he's actually the worst
He's just a
guy
shitty
literally
guy.
in the entire book.
Wow, I kind of want to read that now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
If
a
I
good,
can ever finish Green Eggs and Ham, I will read that.
it's probably a step or two above Green Eggs and
Sounds
Ham,
like
and-
kind of the same
Probably
concept.
like more like a 12th grade reading level.
Yeah. It's the same similar concept.
Similar concept.
eating,
Everything
yeah.
is about green eggs and ham
It's,
at the
yeah.
end of the day. No, this song kind of has like a cloud hanging. I mean, the whole record kind of has like a cloud hanging over it. It's dreary. It's rainy day shit.
That's interesting.
rainy day to me.
That's interesting to say because this song like is one of the most upbeat on the record. But like it still feels very like it has something, you know, on
some
its
sort of
mind
melancholy
that's, like,
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I guess, you know, with what you just said about the book, I guess, you know, it makes sense in being about evil. And
This record to me is, well, I'll save that. Never mind. We can move on. But
yeah, I do like that you get like little hints of like pretty stuff
Yeah,
here and there, like
yeah.
the piano line. Like I love how this piano line will just come in and out and kind of like drift by,
Yeah.
almost like a cloud or something like
Yeah.
that.
Let's move on to the next one. This is Building 650.
this was another one they put out.
Yeah, this was another single. Another one that is
Bands
a
are
little
ju-
bit.
Bands are just doing 3 singles now. It fucking
Yeah, they put out
sucks.
one today actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another like upbeat one. In terms of the whole record, it's a little bit more upbeat. The more I listen to it, I don't know why. Like this one, I couldn't really get like stuck in my head as like the other ones. Like I couldn't really latch on to this one as well as I did Crispy Skin or even some other deep cuts on the record. But I thought this was another fun song. It's just like it is weird for that his vocal approach to like, even if he's kind of going a little bit more yelly in his approach, it's not nearly anything that like he used to do. Like it's a complete switch up.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same manic sort
Yeah.
of energy. Like,
Yeah.
but it really feels like they're trying to do something different. Like that really worked on Bright Green Field.
Yeah.
And how anxiety driven those were.
Yeah.
But like you get a little bit of it here.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I really like the sound of this one, like those
Yeah.
like snaky sort of guitars, and then like the strings and stuff that'll come in here and there.
Yeah.
And I do like the vocal approach on this one. I like that, like Frank's my friend. and
Frank's
stuff
my
like
friend. Yeah. He's on. Was this the one where he's on TV or something like that, or is that? a
No,
different
that's
one?
later.
That's a little bit
that.
later.
This is another one
Yeah.
based on a book. I'll save you the
Yeah.
liner notes. But
Please.
This guy reads, all right?
Please.
But yeah, I agree. I think that the two openers are the two singles that they put out are two of the weakest songs. I still like them.
Yeah,
But I think that the back half of this album is much more interesting than these two.
it does have better like. I feel like I remember like a little bit of, you know, more of the melodies that they were kind of putting together on the back half more than these two singles. I mean, Crispy Skin, I remember, you know, the way he yells Crispy Skin, and that's like a fun part of the record, but I think they kind of do a little bit more creatively, like with melody on the back half. I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, and they start to employ other vocalists,
Yeah.
which I think is helpful
Yeah.
because he's good at the nervy David Byrne
Yeah.
B-52s guy thing.
Yeah.
But like there are parts of this album where I was like, I bet if Isaac from Black Country New Road was over this, it would fit a bit better.
It seems like they were almost trying to do something like that with his vocal approach on this one, like very subdued, low, you know, register voice, kind of like really up close to the mic, you know, like really like maxed out because you really have to get all of the emotion in there.
I like that though, like when
Yeah.
it kicks back in.
I mean, the instrumentation's great. I mean, they're doing there's so much. Like, you can't really dog on them for not, like, it's not the best track, but, like, they're putting every member of the band in it, you know?
Yeah, and I found the more I listen to these songs, the more I do pick up and the more I can hold on to.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard all of these songs, they just went like
That's exactly how I felt.
flew over my head
Yeah.
where I was like, I can't make odds or ends.
Yeah.
But the more I listened to it, I was like, I could anticipate things. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to those
Yeah.
switches and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But this is probably my least favorite song on the record.
Wow. I think I'd have to agree, honestly. Like, I didn't, for some reason, even as a single, it just never latched to me. JJ, you have any thoughts on that?
This is gonna be one of those.
Oh yeah, brother.
I like the strings on it. I think
Yeah.
the strings are cool. I agree with you though. It's to me the song doesn't really go anywhere. Like some of the other songs on the album, like have like super ups and downs.
Yeah.
It seems, and that one really doesn't. I guess what was remarkable to me about it was his vocal performance was, you know, compared to a lot of the other stuff that happens, that's kind of the most energetic he gets.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
which
it's like
is a lot.
they used to really focus on writing hooks, where it seems like they like with this song,
Yes.
anyways, they really do not give a shit about
They
that at all.
don't give a shit about hooks. Dude.
Yeah. Let's move on. This is another one called "Blood on the Boulders."
This one's a soft ass.
This
song.
one's very dreary, very slow.
I fucking love this song
It is
so much.
It's really cool. I think for me, it could use just a little bit more, but it is like this album is, I don't know, like this is the sweet spot for the record. Like doing stuff like this is where you really start to go like, huh, like maybe I should really sit down with this with headphones and not just like listen to it in my car or at work. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so pretty and it's just the riff, like the little guitar thing that happens, like it's really interesting. Like this is not this one, but the next one was what made me kind of change my mind about this record.
Yeah, I did listen like a couple times in good headphones, and
Yeah.
like this, it's definitely that type of record. It's
Yeah.
a headphones record.
Yeah.
It's a record like a bad divorce. It's gonna take some work.
It takes some time. Yeah.
But no, I love this song. I love that like little piano riff that keeps like, it feels like it never resolves. It
Yeah.
like just keeps ending on that sour note over and over
Yeah.
again. And then at like around 2 or 3 minutes, it picks up into like this most anxiety inducing fucking
Yeah.
like just one dissonant note
that-
over and over again. But like before that, they're just like riding on that
Yeah.
note. And like this song's about the Manson family.
Oh, is it?
And yeah, it's like about a like YouTube like tourist, like true crime type guy, like going to like the Manson house and stuff like that. And the lyrics kind of talk about that. And then, you know, this is the part where he's talking about this.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get real weird, real chaotic, and it like it feels like a beat is about to pick up, but it really never does.
It makes you hang and
Yeah.
sit in this
Yeah.
just like anxiety inducing. And then when the beat does come in, it fucking rules. It's like so weird.
It's so weird. Yeah.
We
Oh.
Like I fucking love
Yeah.
it. And what's interesting too about this record is like they used to use a lot more distortion, and
Yeah.
this one they're using. I love that too, like with the
Yeah.
want to know and then the like distorted nose in the
Listen
background.
to the bass just doing absolutely whatever it wants. Like it's not carrying any groove.
It's like
it
a Paul
feels like
McCartney bass line a
Yeah.
little bit, just walking all over the place.
they're just waiting for him to get into it, and he just is just like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah, and like hearing them do mostly clean guitars and a lot more acoustic instrumentation than they typically do. Like,
Yeah.
but mixing it in with synth and mixing it in with horns and stuff like that. Yeah, I really like this. And like on first listen, I probably had a similar response to you guys, where I was
Yeah.
like, man, they're playing that piano thing a lot. But it just makes this feel so much more satisfying.
Yeah.
And then they get to this part where it almost feels like an Arcade Fire type,
Or
like,
Radiohead.
A chant, a group chant.
yeah, and like everybody's playing that. Like, rarely do you hear everybody playing in unison
Yeah.
on something. And like, you arrive at this point, so it's like we started so sparse, and then we got to like, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown,
Yeah.
and then we get into this like more pretty thing.
It goes back to the slow part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
He's like whispering.
And that's
by
where he
the
says the
end.
blood on the boulders. There's
Yeah.
blood on the boulders part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go back to the scene,
Yeah.
return to the scene. I think.
Should we keep going? You want to move on?
Yeah.
Let's move on. Here's Fieldworks 1. This is where I started to really change my mind about the record, because when I first heard it, Fieldworks 1 and 2, I was like, God, we're really going through a little bit of a slog here. And then like listening to it like a second time, I was like, it's pretty, but like I still wanted to pick up a little bit more. And then the third time I was like, this is just really fucking cool and like beautiful sounding. Like I don't know what that is. It sounds like
It's
a
a harpsichord.
glockenspiel or
Yeah.
harp. But just the way the melody goes on top of this, like they really hit a stride with melody as they keep going down the track list. It's just like the God-fearing man part
it's
just
so
fits
good.
so well with this. I don't know. It just makes you go like. At first, I was like, "Yeah, they didn't make hits on this record," but I'm like, they made probably something a little bit bigger than just like another record with a whole bunch of singles and bangers on it.
Yeah, I felt that way. Like listening to it front and back the first time, I was like, well, there's no GSK on here. I was like, is this another O Monolith?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
unlike O Monolith, like I was rewarded every time that I came back to
Yeah.
it. And this one is like the first taste of something like legitimately pretty on the record.
Yeah.
And there's like this repetitive thing, and like you said, I love that melody and that the devil shade is I forget, but I'm a God-fearing man. And then like you start getting these strings in the background that like are adding to the prettiness, and then slowly they turn like ugly as hell.
Yeah.
And like it's like so symphonic here, and then like as it starts to just like it deteriorates like really fast, and then just ends.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like I think that they are aiming for something higher than bangers.
Yeah.
And I think on a lot of these, they nail something higher than bangers, for me at least.
There was that movie that won a bunch of Oscars last year with Emma Stone in it.
Right here. It just like falls
It's so
apart.
It
wild.
was a very bizarre movie.
Poor Things.
Poor Things.
Oh.
That's
This
actually going to
sounds
come
like-
up later.
This sounds like it could be the soundtrack to that movie.
I could see that. Yeah. It's got like that funky,
Yeah.
weird
Funk old like not
steampunk world.
Yeah.
not old like classic rock old. I'm talking old like ye old England old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like wearing the big hat.
The
Yeah,
big,
the big
Yeah.
boy.
This is
dude.
big hat.
It's
The
like
Abe
not
Lincoln
Nosferatu, a little bit.
a little bit.
This is Fieldworks 2, which I was also a big fan of.
I like this one.
Yeah. Even though this one, is still not picking up the pace, by that much. It's still like pretty minimal. I still really like this. And I thought also it pairs really well with Fieldworks 1.
The
Like, I feel
drums
like
and
it-
bass come in with a little bit of sauce here, which
Yeah, there's
is
a
I
little
think
bit.
why it gets me.
Yeah.
The bass drum has like a sub bass or something on it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
It's just like so
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
And this has a lyric that I really like in it too. He keeps going, "Can you remind me?" And he goes, "Can you remind me I'm evil too?" And it's
Oh,
like this
yeah.
whole idea of like picking out these individual types of people
Yeah.
that you would say are like cowards or evil, but it's like we're all complacent
Yeah.
in this. And then when he says I'm evil too, that's when it starts to get like dark.
Yeah.
Right here.
That fucking guitar, dude. It's so just like...
Spindly.
It's got the Nosferatu, the fucking...
yeah, the shadow
the
going
fingers,
over.
yeah. Yeah, I forgot how huge this
Drums
comes
are
in.
big.
Yeah.
And that just like descending string line.
Yeah, this is another melody that like there's not a lot of vocal like memorable vocal melodies on this record, but what they do with strings and guitar and like synth later on is just like it's really just like they stick in your head just as instrumentals.
I'd agree. It's like they've used the vocals more as like transmission of
Yeah.
ideas
Yes.
and lyrics and something like a through line to keep you going through the song.
Yeah.
And then like the really pretty, nice melodies are coming from strings, pianos, guitar.
Yeah.
It's just like having something that ugly and
Yeah.
that beautiful right next to each other and how they're playing together. Like I don't know what chord progression they're
No.
going through and stuff like that.
Just all this space it's taking up and just like putting all these sour notes mixed with this beautiful, synths and strings in the background, but like hitting some really ugly shit as well. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's
very
all
weird.
just really weird.
Very weird. Yeah.
Let's move on. I don't want to say too much for like the end of the record because I feel like I'm always about to just say like how I feel about the
Your
record.
thesis statement?
My thesis statement.
Yeah.
This is Cro-Magnon, man.
I
This
like
is a
this
single
one too.
that they released today. Yeah, this one is one of my favorites.
This is like the rocker, which is bizarre because
Yeah.
not many of these are rockers.
It does feel caveman-like.
Yes.
It does.
Like, I like how it's called Cro-Magnon, man, and it feels like you're a caveman, like, eating ants in, like, a cave,
Yeah.
like, looking around for them and picking it up.
Yeah, this is like one of the coolest sounding songs
Yeah.
on the record. It has like Like when it first comes in, it has like that movie scene quality of coolness, but it's still just so fucking weird.
I love this little, like, that's so, like, it's a hint of the B-52s thing that they were doing before, but in this creepy, like, I don't know, like, chill up your back kind of way.
Yeah, it's like, it does have
Twilight Zone-ish with the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, big time. It has like that krautrock sensibility vocally, but it's over like, it's synth, but it's mostly acoustic instruments.
Yes.
You know, which is like to create something this weird and spacey sounding with like mostly just like regular instruments is really impressive.
The bass is one of my favorite things about this record. Just how like blown out and loud it is on every song,
Bass
especially this one.
Easily the highlight for me is the bass playing on it.
I mean, the bass playing, but also just
the production,
the tone, just like how it was recorded. It feels like everything in this record was recorded with like a mic just up as close as it possibly could be. You know, like it's...
Yeah, everything's very clean, dry sounding.
Yes, it's so intimate.
And I love like the little syncopations he's throwing here on the beat, just like a little like shuffle on the snare and then opening the hi-hat.
Like imagine seeing this song played live. Like,
how the fuck would you do that?
Here's another really cool melody that I like here.
Me too, and like it's one of the most conventionally sticky melodies on the record.
Yeah.
And like they introduce it and we're just gonna ride on this, and the rest of the track is going to like fall into madness and noise around it, which is a really cool idea.
It's a big theme for the record is to have these songs just kind of fall into like complete chaos. And
like listen what everybody is playing. Like that little piano thing that was going nuts.
Really cool, like you said before, really cool use of like using other vocalists too. That kind of starts happening more and more through the record.
Yeah, because I like that guy's voice a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think he has like the harmonic quality to carry some of these sections on his own.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
No.
Yeah.
He's not that style of singer, I don't think.
Yeah, it does feel like he's still trying to kind of find his voice in this new dark, you know, tone that they're trying to set.
Yeah, he was like perfect on Bright Green Field, where I was like, this might be my favorite new rock vocalist.
Yeah.
And then even on Oh Monolith, you're like, you're still kind of figuring out where I can be David Byrne.
I was listening to Oh Monolith today just to kind of give me an idea of like, I couldn't remember much of it, and like Undergrowth has that like really, I can't remember that hook.
Where they keep repeating it.
Yeah, they keep repeating it, and it's like, oh, okay, he still had it on this record.
Yeah.
He was still doing it, but this record feels completely void of who
It's
they
like,
used to be.
Make me ergonomic, melt me, or something like that.
Yeah, melt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like they're just completely throwing that out. Let's move on to the title track, Cowards. Also, another one of my favorites.
It's a really slow build.
Yeah.
But at 2 minutes, the music that kicks in is just like so pretty.
It's so good. It's just so good. The melody on this one is probably my favorite on the whole record. And yeah, it feels like depressing and just like has a sad cloud over it of any song on the record, I think. But yeah, I like it a lot.
And this one was inspired by the movie Dogtooth. Have you ever seen Dogtooth?
Mm-mm.
It's by the guy that directed Poor Things. It's like about this guy who has 3 adult kids, and he doesn't let them leave the house. Like he lies to them and says like no one's allowed to leave their house until their dog tooth falls out. And there's like a line about bashing the teeth out of your mouth and stuff like that.
Sorry, I had to fast forward a little bit.
I mean,
so
this
we
is
can,
so good.
Yeah,
like
so
I love
this part.
Like those horns.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just gorgeous.
It reminds me of like, kind of like what they did on GSK. You know, like the. You know, it's kind of like a slower, more depressing version of that. But yeah, it does feel like, you know, a sad, like, funeral for like a toy drummer boy. You know, like you know, like, welcome to the Black Parade a little bit type of thing, but not My Chemical Romance-y at all. You know, just like actually sad. I don't know.
Yeah, but there is still like, I don't know, like a childlike quality.
There's a
to it.
childlike quality.
So, yeah, it's like looking out your window when you're a kid and like wanting to play with your toys, but it's raining.
It's raining.
You know,
you can't go outside, and you're just like, like. But yeah, it has this weird like everything's gonna be okay quality to it, but it's just a bad day. You know.
Because you had a bad day.
Am I making any sense?
Because you had a bad day.
Take it one
Yeah,
you gotta
featuring
listen
Daniel Powder.
to the Squid album because it is fun.
Yeah, and then this part's really cool, where it's like,
it starts getting real like weird, and the playback
Backwards
starts
guitar.
the backwards thing that they have going on here.
yeah, is this where like that really? Is there a synth part coming up? No, I think that's in the other song.
This is like a day in the life a little.
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't
Yeah,
really
more-
remember this one past that, to be
More
honest with
more
you.
glockenspiels.
No,
This is the refrain. Yeah. I don't remember. What does he say? Something about walking
put the
around.
Walking
pellets
around
down
the
and when you
town.
walk
We
around
walk
town.
around town. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool song. I'm gonna move on. Here's Showtime. This one's kind of a banger.
Oh yeah.
Lots of old Squid type of guitar tones on there, like that, like squiggly little like, you know, like sounds like a spring
with the chorus on it.
Yeah, just a really odd, just like, I don't know, it you know, like kind of how we said with like Leg of Lamb on Rated R, you know, it's just like an odd little quirky song.
Yeah, but when the beat switches up in this song is so cool. Yeah, this is like one of the ones where it felt like this is so sick.
One thing about the sound of this record is that the snare is like, it sounds like paper. Like it sounds like they really did not treat or try to make it sound good at all. And I don't know why it like kind of works. Like
it's not taking up more space than it needs to. Like sometimes if you have like a big crack with like a lot of reverb or whatever, it like, you know, takes up too much space. But
This ain't Saint Anger, buddy.
it ain't saying anger. Yeah.
and you can like really hear everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like very tight playing. You know. Yeah, this
Wasn't
is the
that
one that
basic,
seems like it has the most like Bright Green Field type energy to it.
It would be the weirdest one on Bright Green Field, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then halfway through, it kind of like really becomes another type of song. And I was reading this one's about Andy Warhol. There's one of the actresses in his movies, Andrea Feldman, jumped out of a window.
Okay.
Like she was like mentally unwell, but a lot of people think that like Andy Warhol abused her and would like play mind games and shit. Yeah. And she jumped out of. She like called all of her ex-boyfriends to her parents' apartment where she lived, and they were waiting outside below. And she jumped out the window, died. And I think I was watching a documentary about the Velvet Underground, and I'm pretty sure that when Andy Warhol found out about it, he was like, "I wish somebody was there to film it." Like that was his only reaction. And then like the lyric
A true
is,
artist.
yeah. A swan song, falling fast onto 12th Street, cross in hand, because she had like a cross and like a bottle of Coca-Cola, and I just laugh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Truly is about evil.
That's
It
cold.
sounds evil.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
this part's so cool, where it's like this weird synth, and then the stuff that starts picking out of it is like really pretty and airy and big. Like you forget how weird this synth part is, because everything that picks up around it is like...
It's like this chaotic Game Boy breakdown, and then you starts like just whatever that synth, that note is behind it that makes it just like drive forth and feel really like, kind of gets you pumped up a little bit, like it feels like inspirational.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Just the things they do on the back half of their songs on this record. Like the way they make these giant switches is so crazy.
Yeah, and they can somehow make it feel organic.
Yeah.
You know, even though it has to take so much time and thought.
Listen
and
to that shit. what is that?
Yeah, sorry. It's like I both feel like triumphant and completely nervous, and then we just did like a total key change.
Yes,
but it's still doing kind of the same thing.
It's still the same thing. It's just kind of it's in a different place now. I don't know. It's just so weird. I have not. Well, I'm gonna rest my case on that before we get into it.
And then it comes in with this like drum and bass type beat. I love this. As I listened to it more, I was like, damn, this is such a fucking great jam.
I forgot that it comes back into this kind of like driving classic Squid beat. Yeah, just really neat. I'm going to move on to the last track. It's called Well Met.
Fingers Through the Fence.
Fingers Through the Fence. This one, sorry. I'm going to just fast forward a little bit, but this one
when this synth comes in, Jesus.
Yeah. When this one has the coolest like vocal thing going on. Like with this group vocal, there's like female voices in the back there. Makes it sound like church-ish almost, like a church hymn. But yeah, the synth line is my favorite part of this. It reminded me of another track, but I couldn't remember where it was. But yeah, it just, again, like the blown outness of how big that synth is and how big like the bass is, it just feels like, I don't know, it's really overwhelming. Like the song was altogether overwhelming, like with vocals, with synths, with how many instruments are playing at the same time. It just felt like a very grand outro.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's like a great closer. And like at like 3:45, these like horn string stings start happening, and they just keep happening.
Yeah,
and it feels like on an album that can be like anxiety inducing and weird and strange. It's like the most straightforward, like beautiful thing. On the record, and then it's like that vocal refrain going up over top of it. I thought like. This might be the best thing on the record. It might not be my favorite thing, but I think it's the best thing on the record.
I kind of thought that too. I was like, it's not the catchiest or the most upbeat, but like, just in terms of being like generally just very impressive and emotional. But it's probably one of the most emotional things on the record as well.
Yeah, it feels
it's just I don't know. There's so much about this record that just makes you go like, ugh,
like that first part feels like time ticking down.
Yeah.
And then we've run out of time.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be like a nuclear bomb is about to just keep going off. And we've just accepted our fate. And we always talk about like having like a fitting closer. And how do you end an album like this?
Yeah.
As weird and idiosyncratic as this is.
As weird as you possibly can.
Like this.
These like... Those rushes,
These are like fucking
Hans Zimmer,
kettle drum, Hans Zimmer shit. Yeah,
it's that sub bass thing again that we were talking about, where it just feels so. I don't know, just the way that they can make the kick drum and the bass sound on this record.
They really worked with an engineer who knows their shit.
Yeah,
I think, and they like were able to articulate. Whoever like is the primary songwriter was able to articulate exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, it feels like a boxing glove being like. Against a fucking punching bag. Like it just feels like soft, but like really hard hitting at the same time. Very deep, And
I love how like that horn's just kind of doing whatever the fuck it wants, but it's gorgeous.
And it's them. Like it's the guys in the band. It's not like they hired like an orchestra or something to work with them. Like it's just probably their bassist. Just like
I'm going off, dude. Give me a little Dizzy Gillespie action, dude. I kept coming back to this one. Like, sometimes you hit the album closer and you're like, all right, it's going to be it.
Give a shit,
But like, I looked forward to this album closer every time.
Yeah, it is a weird record that like you look forward to the back half way more than you do the first half. Like, I think the first half is just kind of there to kind of wet your palate and kind of get you into the groove of what's going on. Do you guys want to do CAs as we close this out?
As we're lulled.
JJ, you want to go first? Evan, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I I really think this is like an excellent record. Listening to it, the more I listened to it, the more and more I liked it, and the more and more I was impressed by it. It's definitely not Bright Green Field. There's going to be nothing on your first listen that you're going to walk away with and being like, oh, that's going to be added to my playlist, and I'm going to listen to that every day. Like, that's not...
Maybe Cro-Magnon Man.
Maybe Cro-Magnon Man.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, this is a band, in my opinion, paying off all the experimentation that they did on Monolith.
Yeah.
Where it was like them in search of something that I never thought that they quite found. Whereas, like, this... I can't imagine any other band writing this record. It's like they're talking in a musical language basically all by themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely light on hooks. It's definitely light on melodies. But where like these sections end up landing, like to me, it's like the juice is worth the squeeze. Like these moments that this album keeps stacking up, these musical moments where I'm like, holy shit.
Just
like,
the way you're talking about it and then this music playing in the background. It's a beautiful record.
Yeah, I feel like I'm riding like a motorcycle, like literally into a mushroom cloud. This isn't like typically like I like albums with pop songs that I can get down to. But every time that I listened to it, I liked it more and more. I remembered more of the tracks, and like you just like in any song, you can kind of point around and be like, oh, that little horn thing's awesome. That string thing's great. You have to have patience, but I think it rewards your patience, where some albums don't.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really strong on this. I'm going to go with a 9.
Wow. That's huge.
That is huge. I really like this record.
That is
a lot.
huge. A 9 for Squid from Evan.
Plus, I think I'm going to have to make up for a little bit of the middle guy.
I mean, this puts me in a weird position because I just don't like this shit.
That's why you should be honest.
Yeah, be honest. Be as honest as you possibly can.
So, none of the things that either of you guys said you're like, holy shit, that's so cool. I'm like, what? Like, just a drum beat came in. This is an album about. This is an album.
Just a drum beat came.
Seriously,
so
this is
funny.
like dudes that like this is music that like indie white guys like, and that's cool. I'm just not that. It's like this album's about evil, so I'm assuming that I'm gonna be like spooked, and I was not spooked by anything. I think that just my definition of like what bothers me and what like I want to be moved by is different than what this is intended for. However, like, this album is just, like, vibe stuff, and I don't think it's bad vibe stuff. Like, clearly it's very intentional and pretty and well-recorded and well-assembled. It's just not something that really moves the needle for me in one way or another. It's like, it feels like smart people music, and I just need, like, caveman beating a stick against a tree. It's like the soundtrack to someone staring out a window at a rainy day or something like that the whole time.
You stole my thing.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
we were
shit.
talking about that earlier.
Sorry, I zoned out.
We said it on that one song.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, whoops.
Sorry.
Anywho, this is the expert analysis you turn to our podcast for. No, but I really don't think there's any shred of bad. I'm not giving this thing a 9, that's for sure. I'm going to give it like a 6.5. Okay. I don't think I'll turn back to it. It's really pretty, really well done, but like I need some hooks. I need like some more digestible shit immediately, or else you're gonna lose me because life is short and I have too many things to do.
Sure. I mean, I think when I first listened to it, I kind of felt that way. Like when I first heard the record, I was just like, damn, fucking Squid is back to giving me not what I want from Squid. And I was into that band for a specific reason, and it feels like that style of the band is gone. Like, I didn't just listen to them on Bright Green Field. I really like The Cleaner. I really like the other singles they put out. There's one that's like escaping me, and I can't remember.
Not Pamphlet?
No, it wasn't Pamphlet.
That was on Bright Green Field.
That was on Bright Green Field. I can't remember the damn name of it, but it had like a light switch on the cover. It was just a fucking sick song, and it had that same vibe as Bright Green Field. And when I first tuned into this, like Crispy Skin kind of gave me a little hope for it when I first heard the singles. Building 650 kind of did too, even though it wasn't, as hooky. And Cro-Magnon Man came out today, and I was like, okay, maybe we're back to something. And then the rest of the record felt like, at first listen, a little bit disappointing, but since we were reviewing it and we hadn't had that much time to like really sit with it, I was coming back to it. And every time I came back to it, I just felt more impressed and heard another part of the album that was like sticking with me throughout the day that I didn't even realize was sticking with me. I was like, damn, that's that little hook from Cowards that like I love that so much. And then just hearing like the closer, I kind of wrote off Fieldworks 1 and 2 at first, and then came back to it like the second time. I was like, damn, it's actually really fucking a very pretty song. In both of them, I thought. And then, by the third listen of this record, I was just like, there's something else going on here that like, it's the first time I think on the show ever listening to an album where I'm like, I'm okay with, things not being so hooky and jammy, just because of, like with Idols, they try to do something different and try to go away from their fastball, but I just felt like it was like this kind of half-assed attempt to be like Radiohead, where this feels like what you said, no one else could really make this music. It has this creepy vibe to it the whole time, no matter if it's an upbeat song or a very like beautiful sounding song. There's just something like a disease is running through this record. That just makes
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like there's something wrong running through it that's just like, they added a certain fucking spice that makes this like fucked up. And
Yeah, even when it's pretty, you're like...
even when it's pretty, you're like, that's not the pretty that I'm used to. Like there's something wrong here. But it's like, I don't know, I'm very intrigued by it. Like I'm still intrigued by it. I want to listen to this record more and more. Like every time I listen to it, I'm like, I gotta sit down in like a bathtub and just listen. I gotta sit down like in bed. And
This is a tub listen.
It's my first tub listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just like I feel like I'm still kind of processing this record. I still have to like, I want to come back to it more and more, but just like the intrigue I have of this record it's like it keeps growing, and it's definitely going to sit with me for another couple weeks. I want to like keep listening to it because it's just, you're not going to hear something this maximal. We probably won't, instrumentally for the rest of the year. So yeah, I mean, first impressions, just the way I like it right now. And I think it's, it's a solid thing to say, because when I first heard it, I wasn't a fan. But as of now, I'm going to give it a 7.8, which is...
We're all over the place, friends.
It's a 7.7.
It's a 7.7.
We are all over the place. I mean, I was going to give it an 8, but I feel like I'm not like in love with it yet. It's just still like, I feel like it's just a very impressive record with just some really wild shit going on.
Yeah, I listened to it a lot of times.
Yeah.
I listened to it like 5 times in like the last day and a half.
I made it like 3 times. Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah, so what do we do? I mean, what do we do?
I mean, what is that?
You can
a fucked up
hell yeah. I don't know.
A fucked up hell yeah.
Yeah, like a buckshot hell
buckshot.
Because it's all over.
It's all over that. Yeah, we'll give it a buckshot. Hell yeah, that makes sense. More sense.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I agree with a lot of what you said of the like listening to Jordy Grief's record.
Yeah.
Which I liked parts of, but it was like so maximal and so at 11 the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas like these guys seemed really in control of all these different elements, and that level of control, and like, sometimes you have to sit through 2 minutes of something where it's like, okay, where are they going? And then when they hit you with something, for it to have its maximal impact.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
I knew, something was up, because I'm not the guy to listen to a record that is like boring me for a third time and be like, that's actually good. Like, I'm the guy that's just like, it sucks. Don't care. Like I needed to hit it, but like when it didn't take long for me to be like,
no, this is actually like, I haven't heard something like this in a long time. Like, I'm it is kind of a bummer that they don't have their like the flair that they did from Bright Green Field, but yeah, I appreciate this just more as like an album, a headphones record than like a jamming record.
Yeah, I feel like my first listen of the record was like a funeral for the Bright Green Field.
yeah,
Squid. Where I was just like, well, that's gone, and it's
gone.
never coming
Yeah.
back. So maybe listen to this with some fresh ears and see where we get.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like what they landed on is very interesting. I think it'll be for less people. Like I don't think it's going to be, the people that dug Narrator.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be able to find. But I think if people like Monolith, you'll probably like this.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was still a little bit more energy on Monolith in this, but this is
Undergrowth is like pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. But yeah, this just has there's something about it. It really is like that evil quality. Like it has a little drop of something in it that I'm like, I don't know how they did that, but it's
almost like a reservation to the evil. If that makes sense. Where it's just like it's an acceptance that evil is everywhere.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. I mean,
How truthful of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it really. I mean, I don't know. You were kind of like, upset, or not upset, but just like kind of just like I don't really get this.
Yeah.
And I completely
Get valid opinion.
Yeah.
I completely understand.
I just don't get it, man. I didn't get Jordy Griep either. It's just like
Jordy Griep.
That's more Max. I mean, there's no comparison between the two. They are both totally all over the place for totally different reasons. But I think I just need some, a few more hooks, baby. Just give me something to sing.
Jordy Griep was also. I mean, like. I don't know if I get that as much. Like, I don't think I had the moment that I had.
I called this smart people music. That's also smart people music.
Jordy Griep was just more. Smart.
I need caveman
Or
shit.
more dumb. I can't tell.
Yeah, I can't tell.
I'm not sure.
Well, he did. He brought up fucking rectangular guy. So who knows how smart he is?
Yeah, there were moments on the Jordy Griep record, like Magician. I think is really like a great song.
Yeah,
it's 12 minutes long.
Yeah,
but
forgot about that.
I didn't get one in every song like I did in this.
Yeah.
Like every single song gave me something
that we're.
And then some, like the entire thing front to back. I'm just like, this fucking rules.
I really have to pee, so we're gonna give that a 7.7. Squid's Cowards.
A buckshot, hell yeah!
Buckshot, hell yeah! Go listen to it. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on TikTok. Subscribe to our Patreon page. Because I quit my band. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.